I think you're going to see what we've seen happen in other industries is convergence offers a number of advantages to customers, and I always like to start with the customers. Number one is by converging networks, you are able to reduce cost, right, of how you actually deploy and manage a broad range of devices, whether it be smart meters or in the future, both in gas and water or in the utilities sector. So it's all about driving cost out. Second of all, you're able to open standards, right, to create application platforms to enable third parties, right, to innovate on top of our joint offerings. And this is a key part of what we can do together to create value, right, for the customers, whether they be their own developers or third parties coming in to leverage some of the tools and capabilities that we offer. And then third thing, I think what we see is that if you're adopting a converged model, you're able to create a much better security structure for what runs on the network, what's allowed on the network, how you manage the overall logical security of the network against things like cyber attacks, because you're able to create an integrated security threat platform that will allow you to protect against external things getting on that shouldn't be on the network. And so we think those three primary things are the benefits of a converged network. And as these things are applied in different industry segments, whether it be in cities or utilities, more and more we're going to see utilities that are part of an environment providing capabilities to cities. Cities are looking for ways to capture information of the things that are running across their lights of the future, or their buildings in the city of the future connecting to the networks, the multi-purpose networks. And you need to have open data flows to be able to take advantage of how those connections make sense in terms of economic value, new service offerings, or just, as I said before, an end-to-end security story. I think we're at the very early stages of what we think is going to be an explosion of connectivity. As I mentioned earlier today in a discussion we had with the groups, as by the time we finish our conversation today, probably another 200,000 things are going to get connected somewhere in the world in some industry to a network at the rate of 5 million a day, and we're going to see 5 billion new connections in the next few years. So there's going to be this massive connectivity explosion and massive amount of information and data that's made available. And so I think with Itron and Cisco, because we each come from different angles of the problem, right? Itron obviously brings deep vertical knowledge of the industry, deep understanding of utility networks per se. Cisco obviously brings great horizontal technology that by working together with the knowledge Itron brings, the technologies and products, and Cisco, we can create some very unique solutions to take advantage of this explosion of connectivity and data to allow our customers to have a more flexible environment that can be used to deliver innovation and services at a lower cost. And I think that's where we're excited about the opportunity together, because we see the utility industry on the cusp of another transition going on. It'll come in steps. It won't be, as I said earlier today, not a revolution, an evolution, but an evolution that is coming. And in order to capture the value of what that evolution provides, you need to have a multi-purpose and open network platform that combines the knowledge of the OT and IT environments. Probably are 2 or 3 things that could slow the take-up, right, overall. One is around the area of issues about security, right? What I'm going to integrate, is it going to be secure? Is it going to open myself up to more vulnerabilities, or how do I actually address that? And I think what we're seeing is that actually the integration of technologies, you still can compartmentalize things, but you actually can create a much more unified threat model to protect against that. But that's certainly the fear around that, certainly is something that we both have to address through our architectures and through our education, right, to the various industry segments that we're serving together. A second thing I think that could slow down is that the regulatory. It can either speed up or slow down based on how policy is created. And in the case of many of the electrical utilities, obviously the United States, a very state-driven PUC type model, so consistency of policy across is often hard to achieve. And so policies that are put in place that allow return on the investment for the assets that are not just the indigenous operational network of the utility, but actually of the information network, which we believe in the future will be as important as the actual distribution network. So allowing people to get return on investment for the changes that they're making will probably be one area that could either benefit or slow things down overall, the regulatory environment. And finally, I think the biggest, and we find this in every industry that we work across, is the business process change. And often it is bigger than the technology. It's how does the utility or the industry organize itself differently inside to create the business process change necessary to take advantage of some of the new offerings that are being enabled with our technology evolution. And that's often, as earlier today was spoke about, there's the hard side and the soft side. It's the soft side things that are very, very important. And so if we can bring expertise into the utility to talk about the type of skills you're going to need for future requirements, right? The type of organizational models that would best help them affect the change, and structure and best practices gained from our work with multiple utilities or gas or water companies, then I think we can provide a great assistance to the industry. In one example, in the manufacturing industry, we've now actually created brand new curriculum for how you train the people for the jobs of the future in the industry. And that's converged courses now that teach both manufacturing, control systems information, combined with networking and IT into a brand new curriculum for those that want to be trained for the jobs that will be converged jobs of the future versus maybe the silo jobs that occurred in the past. Because we have a whole new process. We have to change an aging workforce, make them more productive by leveraging their expertise, but also train for the future the types of the skills that are going to be needed to operate in the hybrid models of the future. One is that as you're approaching the environments where you've had siloed operations in the city, you need to begin to think about architecturally, what things should I begin to think about implementing, irregardless of that the silos may still operate in silos for all the good reasons, right, for some time. But what things can I put in place that I know will be standards that each one of these departmental areas will try to address in their evolution of their network platform strategy. The second thing, what we're seeing in the case of cities, as you asked it, Jeff, is that we're seeing early use cases that will come into play, and I think these are essential, right? That will be based on the standalone business case for the use case. They will prove in a new network capability to invest in a network that will enable those use cases. And let me give you two specific examples. What we're starting to see is because of the dramatic drop in LED price performance, that it starts making a lot of sense for the city to utilize the lighting and upgrade to take advantage and putting technology out that not only provides better light at lower cost, but also takes that valuable piece of real estate, the lighting pole, right, and leveraging it for more than one thing, whether it be video surveillance technologies embedded in the luminaires now, or environmental monitoring technologies to measure O2. So you're getting a multi-function capability at the edge and intelligent edge of the sensor. And if you can prove that the investment on one or two applications, the ability to add incremental applications in the future from other departments or other use cases is often very small. It's the early thing to get started. So in cities, we're seeing lighting as one significant because of the technology change and driving the cost down. The other one we're seeing on the revenue side of the equation, turns out that parking is one of the biggest revenue generators for the city. So if you can show the city how that enhanced parking revenues can be achieved through sensor-based models which allow better parking, more time-based parking, time-of-day pricing-based parking, and enhance the revenue side of the equation, that may itself also pay for the network. And once that network's in, you can do a lot of things potentially with it based on the nature of the topology and where you're putting the nodes overall. So I think there's things you can do at the cross-departmental level, but also then focus on things that are going to be short-term to medium-term results that once in then can be used to really help additional applications running on top, can be often very, very economically done.